The Amazing Spider-Man, and also the Fantastic Four are here. The team actually had their first appearance about a year prior to Amazing Fantasy 15, and at this point we're headed into their 12th issue. You can feel the confidence the creators had in throwing Spidey into the ring with Marvel's first family. I really like the perspective they got going on this cover. The rest of the team looks tiny in the distance while Spider-Man and the Human Torch face off. Although as great as this is, it still feels a little awkward and stiff. But at least we got not one, but two thrilling stories, which is a gimmick that thankfully doesn't last very long. I don't think this cover is exactly a home run. I don't hate it by any means, and it makes for a cool crossover cover. But here's the thing. Freak! Menace! A glimpse of what's to come. The public is already riled up in a unanimous distrust over the masked figure. After a brief recap of Spidey's origin, Peter tries his best to come up with the plans for survival now that his Uncle Ben is gone. With no money to pay rent, he reluctantly thinks of using his powers for personal gain. But just as quickly as it came, there's plenty of reasons to not go down that route. However, Spider-Man can still be useful. All he has to do is perform his routine and get paid. He continues to jeopardize the chances at popularity in school, as he can't be in two places at once. Finally, he has the money, but he can't give out his real name. Just make sure you spell the name Spider-Man correctly on the check. As Spider-Man fails to cash the check he earned, a diligent man is typing away some articles against the webhead, which not only cancels the show, but J. Jonah Jameson goes on TV and uses every trick in the fear-mongering book to sway the public. Then, he gives a quick shout out to his son and test pilot, John Jameson. While Peter struggles to find the job, he spots May pawning her things just to get along. Between the money issues, the need for a job, and the slander of his new identity, Peter Parker can't help but feel frustrated. But, you might as well go check out this James Johnson guy, right? Nothing else going on. After being hyped up by his dad and this guy, John launches into orbit and immediately something goes wrong. He has completely lost control of the capsule, and the team at Missile Control Center tried desperately to slow him down, but to no avail. After witnessing disaster unfold, Parker suits up and heads over to Control Center.
Spider-Man! Criminal! Public menace! You're fired! Get out of here! Parker!
Regardless of JJ's ramblings, Spider-Man makes his way towards some field, I guess, and hitches a ride on a plane that's headed for the capsule. Twinging his web toward the capsule, he lands a hit. Once on top, he installs a spare guidance unit in place, and John is able to successfully land the capsule. Ladies and gentlemen, it seems like the Parker luck is finally about to pay off, and wait a minute. Newspaper demands that Spider-Man be arrested. Sabotaging and unlawfully broken to military. Spider-Man's a menace. I mean, he kind of has a point though. As baffled as Peter is at the outcome of this courageous adventure, he is unaware of the looming threat that is the Chameleon. Ooh, nice. While it's true that Peter Palmer has no money, no job, and no fame, he at least has the brilliant idea of trying out for the Fantastic Four. He also may not have the proper credentials to go up the Baxter building and hand out his resume. He does have superhuman strength to force his way in. And if not through the inside, just improvise. Naturally, the FF are suspicious of the situation and activate Defense Measure B. As the wall crawler continues to be an idiot, he falls for the classic Defense Measure B. But using his spider strength, he is not out yet. Spidey's durability lets him take a hit from the Thing. His agility and impressive web shooters subdue Mr. Fantastic. His spider sense allows him to dodge the Invisible Woman's lasso of truth. And the Human Torch didn't account for the spider's wall-crawling ability to avoid his scorching ring of fire. Finally, Reed has had enough and manages to get his word in. Spider-Man eagerly explains his desire to join the team and asks about the pay.
We don't pay.
Nerd. He leaves in a hurry, hurt by their words. But he definitely made an impression on the Fantastic family. Brace yourselves, because now we whiplash to the Chameleon in progress of showing off his talent for making impossibly identical disguises on the spot. After pocketing missile plants from a defense installation, we now see the Chameleon's attention turn towards a certain wall crawler. He immediately gets to work. Knowing that Spider-Man has the powers and instincts of a spider, he uses a special frequency that only Peter Parker can't wait. The Chameleon continues with his scheme, stealing the rest of the missile defense plans as Spider-Man, making his escape via helicopter. And just as the Chameleon leaves, Spider-Man enters as per the instructions explained to him earlier. Making a fool of himself and falling for the bait, Spider-Man deduces that the man in the helicopter must have been the man behind this plot. In order to catch up, Spider-Man uses his webs to— oh my god, he's using the web zip thing, that is so cool! Unfortunately, the villain has escaped into the sea, but luckily oh, now he's using a parachute! Spidey then borrows a boat in order to finally catch up, before the cunning Chameleon can hand over the plans to the submarine. A scuffle ensues. Now captured and back where they started, Spider-Man gets ready to hand over the criminal to the law. But suddenly, Chameleon slips away into another disguise, now hidden amongst the crowd of the boys in blue. Spider-Man is apprehensive. And just as he's catching on, the Chameleon pulls a fuse, leaving everyone in the dark. Lights on, lights off, Spidey can sense a threat and web him up. Alright, web fluid or no web fluid, Spider-Man can still sense a threat and climbs above, hoping to cut off the criminal from escape. After a quick tussle, the Chameleon takes advantage of the chaos and distracts the guards. Now Spider-Man must make his escape in the confusion, but luckily, the police see through the disguise and catch the Chameleon. Fearing his new life will only bring him trouble, Peter Parker runs off into the night, cursing his new powers. Issue number 1 of The Amazing Spider-Man is a great example of why I enjoy these high school era issues. Peter Parker is in a time of uncertainty, following the death of someone important, and his frustration is justified as it seems like everything he does is just digging a deeper hole for himself. The concept is very real and heavy, but they still find ways to add some lighthearted elements to the story. One thing I'm not overly fond of is the decision to split the book in half. It's odd, and I do feel like both sides could have easily made up a full-sized issue. More time with JJ and his son could have been nice and would have potentially fleshed out Jonah comparing Spidey to his own son. Same goes for the Fantastic Four. I definitely would have appreciated them having some sort of internal conversation about this fresh new character. Or even go into a more in-depth look at the Chameleon and his gizmos and doodads. Maybe not a origin story off the bat, but something. In terms of the art, this one feels like a major upgrade from the first one. Amazing Fantasy was very straightforward, and that's not a bad thing. But in this one, immediately you see the set pieces are so much bigger. Things like the Chameleon's lair with all the faces hanging, and the little pieces of a nose on some kind of plate thing. Even the action is done in a way that just feels so much faster. It's really incredible how they go from Amazing Fantasy to Amazing Spider-Man, and it just feels like a different world. We got some new faces in this one. J. Jonah Jameson, John Jameson, and the Chameleon, our first proper villain in the series. All of them are fun and interesting. I'm already looking forward to the various appearances of the biggest spider hater. And the Chameleon definitely becomes much better used than in this one moving forward. Although I do feel like they fumbled John's character a lot later on, and I'm already put off thinking about those books. He saves the day, but a big mouth hater steals his thunder. He catches the Fantastic Four off guard and unknowingly starts an everlasting friendship, and he brought in the sly Chameleon to justice, for now. The Amazing Spider-Man #1 gets a solid neat out of me.
How the f did he know that?